G'day fam, I'm Jen Teeser.
And I'm Kyla Musselman, and together we are the ladies of T+T Podcast.
Now produced by T+T Productions.
Oh yeah, we upgraded. This podcast is for every theater lover out there. We've got the juicy details and behind the scenes magic that goes into theater creation. It's fascinating.
This season, we are bringing you something extra special. We're collaborating with the Canadian Guild of Stage Directors and Choreographers to bring you a series of 8 episodes centered around assistant and associate directors and choreographers from some of the industry's best.
As always, our vibe is all-inclusive, educational, and inspirational.
So if that vibe's with you, then buckle up, legends, and away we go.
I pressed record.
Oh, we're recording and we are back, baby. It is season 5, episode 2, lecture series with AAP, CGDC, T+T Productions.
Oh my God, those are so many acronyms.
With Tracey Flye.
This week in our intro, we wanted to give you a little bit more of a personal update on ourselves. But just, let you know what we've been up to. Jen, what have you been up to?
Oh my goodness. This season I've been working with Mervish doing Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. What an honor. And we've also been working on the Assistants and Associates program with CGDC. Tracey Flye is our chair of our board for the CGDC. So much of our work for AAP has been with Tracey. Kyla, what have you been up to, babe?
2023, I've been at the Starper Festival. We have done Spam-A-Lot,
Yes.
Wild and Crazy, and Frankenstein Revived, a brand new work which was choreographed by last week's speaker, the legendary Steve Coda.
Today, Steve-O.
Have you hearing it? Hi.
So last week, Steve got in your earbuds about what being an assistant or an associate is, and he shared his wisdom on that. And this week, Kai, what is our topic with T-Fly?
T-Fly is talking about everything pre-production as a director. She is talking about the moment you get a contract with designers, everything, blah, 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 all until opening night. She's going to demystify that for us here.
Oh my goodness, thank God. It's so informative if you are wanting to be a director, if you're wanting to be a choreographer, if you are wanting to just be an actor in a show, if you just love musical theater. There are so many nuggets in this. We were all jaws to the floor. Nuggets, darling. We were jaws to the floor with as soon as Tracey started talking. She's so knowledgeable. Honestly, Kai, I want to say she's an icon. She'll hate this.
Hate it.
So much, but she is. I remember with our AAP peeps afterwards, their takeaway was just that she was just such a pioneer, especially for women in Canadian theatre, which is so incredible. And I'm so glad that we've got her in your earbuds and we've got her on tape, and we are taking this moment and holding it in history forever. Tracey Flye.
That was a
It's
legendary
epic.
intro.
Epic. We love you so much.
Yes, Tracey, take it away.
All right, friends, we have the most incredible Tracey Flye with us today. Tracey is one of Canada's busiest and most respected directors, choreographers with credits that span over 200 productions. She is the recipient of numerous awards, including the Marquis Award of Excellence for Cabaret, the Elizabeth Sterling Hayes Award for Outstanding Choreography for Hairspray, and a Dora Award for Outstanding Production for Next to Normal. She remains committed to new work development as an educator and as a mentor. Some of her credits include
Oh God, why?
it includes a 12.
Nobody cares. We're all here. We're artists. We love each other.
I almost started with Tracey's gonna hate all of this so much, but she's incredible. She has a 12-year association with the legendary rock band Queen for their production of We Will Rock You. She has a 21-year association with Ross Petty Productions and with their annual Christmas Panto. She is just an incredible woman, an incredible artist. Her choreography and staging credits include Billy Elliot, Kiss Me Kate, Evita, All at Stratford, The Drowsy Chaperone, Boys in the Photograph for Mervish. She was the resident director for the National Theatre's War Horse and once for Mervish Production, and she is here to share her wonderful knowledge and wisdom with us today. Thank you, Tracey, for bearing with me as I got through that. What an incredible woman.
Oh my God, I'm exhausted. What the hell?
We love
Hi.
it so much. Tracey, take it
Hello.
away. Share the knowledge with us. We
I
love
am
it.
so happy to share what little knowledge I have with all of you. It's amazing to see you all. And we've been working on this for what seems like forever. And so to see all your beautiful faces here while this program is like happening is incredibly exciting and woohoo. One thing I want to share with you about me is that I was an assistant and associate many times in my career and really used that experience to help me move forward, in addition to some amazing mentors to find my path forward as I shifted from performer and all the rest of it into the creative side of life. So I have an intimate relationship with where you are now and what you would like to do. So one thing I'm going to talk about a lot, or two things I'm going to talk about a lot today, are the two words communication and collaboration. I'm going to use that phrase a lot today because they should be your mantra as you go forward, no matter what you do as a choreographer, a director, an assistant, an associate. They will be your best friends. And the best productions are ones that feel seamless and fluid, where the language of the piece is consistent throughout, where the choreo, the movement, all aspects of design, the text and the music feel as one. And this can only happen through collaboration and communication, because nobody does this alone. We are not in this to do it by ourselves. This is why we come to create moments and pieces in time. It's about community. It's about collaboration. So please always keep that in the forefront of your mind. Yes, I know someone has to be the steward of a production, of a piece. That often falls under the title of director or choreographer in some respects. And yeah, ultimately decisions fall to that position to make or break. It's ultimately the vision of the director that we are trying to accomplish and elevate. It is collaboration and communication that makes or breaks your room, that makes or breaks how discoveries are made and how the cast and crew get to the point where they have ownership of a production. And that those are the best pieces, right? We've all been in those shows where we feel like we are all integral parts. We've had the opportunity to speak and to contribute. And so only by doing that collaboratively can we find those places, especially in long runs where you're with people for a long time and you have to maintain the integrity of a show. If you're a resident, if you're an assistant or associate on a show where you are hanging on for a long time, that ownership of a production by the whole cast and crew will make your life so much easier, because we all know where we're going and it's really important for us to be a part of that and maintain it. So how the heck do we get there? How the heck do we get to the production? Jobs can come in many ways. They can come either solicited or unsolicited. If you have a reputation already and you're not a first-time director, relationships you have developed with artistic directors, artistic producers, and other artists will help that happen. If not, that's what agents are for. And if not agents, then take it upon yourself to research seasons, to contact artistic directors and artistic producers and see what's happening. Now, most seasons are planned 2 years in advance. So most seasons right now for 2025, 26 seasons are happening right now. 2024, 25 are pretty much done. Same as 23, 24, they're out of the way right now. But take it upon yourself to do the research, to ask the questions, to reach out to those ADs that you might not know. And in doing so, you're in the front of their minds. It can spark their imagination. Oh, wow, that was a really interesting chat. Let's think about something that they might. If you're really familiar with sort of the mandate of a theater and there's a piece that you're really interested in, sometimes it's not a bad idea also to reach out to the AD or the artistic producer and say, have you ever thought about, I'm really interested in, I have some thoughts. Would you be willing to have a meeting or coffee and talk about this? They may say, honestly, no, we're not interested in that. Or they might say, well, maybe down the line, or just no, I'd love to talk to you. Let's talk about things and see where your head's at and what you're interested in. So that's sort of what happens in terms of getting a job. Sometimes they come to you, sometimes you grab them by the balls and take the opportunity. And that's why it's really important that if a job comes to you or you are wanting to speak to someone about a piece, that it is something that truly resonates with you. Because if you do get that job and they say yes, that conceptualization and the planning is a year out minimum. It's very seldom that you're planning at 6 months. It's usually a year or prior to that. So some of you, the tools that you need are good organization, being able to compartmentalize and be able to keep conversations straight and keep notes on them. So you're not going backwards or asking for things that have already said, no, that's not where we're going. So once you do get that offer, that job, it's really important you take the time to read the piece, to think about it before you go, yeah, I'm going to do it. That's great. Read it. Think about it. Because then you have the opportunity to go back to either your agent or the AD and say, I'd love to do this, and begin a discussion with the artistic director. It's important to hear what their thoughts are because they know their subscribers and audiences better than anybody. They also may have specific ideas and thoughts that they have to uphold because of their mandate or where they're going with funding or what they've decided to do with casting, gender representation, ethnic representation, all of that stuff. So really listen to what they're saying. It's been my experience that most ADs or APs are really open to reconceptualization, to your interpretation and your vision. Some more so than others because of their theater's mandates and subscribers. But it's really good to have that dialogue because then there's no surprises. You don't pull a surprise, a rabbit out of your hat at the last minute and the producer goes, oh, what? No. And that doesn't also mean that every time you go into a process that you have to think way outside the box or it has to be, pushing boundaries or breaking convention. Far from it. A theater will program cabaret and that producer has an idea already of maybe what they would like to see. And that's why it's really important to talk about all this stuff before you actually say yay or nay, because you don't want to be put in a position where you don't feel good about the direction the production needs to go or the AD wants it to go either. But it's been my experience, honestly, those instances are few and far between. The collaboration with the AD, there's that C word again, and communication, the other C word, is so important, right? And speak honestly and from your heart about those things. That's really appreciated. So once you get offered the gig and you've had some time to think about it and you've chatted with the AD, a discussion will arise about, okay, let's talk about the creative team. Who do you want to work with? Like if you've never worked with a creative team or had the opportunity to choose creatives, it can be sort of like, oh my God, who are these people and how do I find them? And it's not that hard. It really isn't that hard. I mean, the creative team that you work with includes set design, video design, sound design, costume design, props, LX. In some cases, if you're really lucky, an extra composer if you're doing a non-musical and you have the budget to have someone who will soundscape and underscore for you. If not, soundscape usually comes under a sound design delineation with your sound designer. If you're directing a musical, this is a really good time to talk about who the MD is, what your choices are, where you're going with that. Who's your choreographer if you're not doing double duty? And also, do I have access to assistants and associates? Can I mentor anyone? Do I have other things available to me? And it's really important to have that conversation early on, and they usually do. Every theater has its own kind of timeline because you have to realize they're also planning the other 5 shows in their season as well. And if you are a director or choreographer, you're probably entering into this entire process with another theater as well. So you're always working, juggling things. So who are these creative minds and these fabulous people, and how do I find them? Well, if you've worked for a while, you may have relationships already with designers. If it's the first time out, don't panic, because the theater will have suggestions for you. There are people that they use often, are local to the theater, and they will provide names for you. Research those people. Take the time to find out who they are. And if you're really interested, have conversations with them. It's really important that you do that. Again, communication, collaboration, and like minds, figuring out whether it's someone that you can work with. Even now, in where you are in your lives at the moment, if you're in a show right now, take the time to find out who the creative team is. If you're checking and you're not in a scene, go sit out in the house and watch it happen. Do you like what you see? Do you like what you hear? Introduce yourself. Ask your colleagues, who's great? I know we all go to theater and we all see multiple productions. Take note of who the creative team is. Did that lighting make you cry in a good way? Did that sound design make you cry in a bad way? Did, what impacted you? Who were these people? What did you see? And then do some research. Look into who they are. Certainly for myself, maybe it's because I'm at this point in my life and my experience, but I have also, through my agent or friends, reached out and asked, can you arrange for me to meet this new young designer? I've never worked with this person. Can I get their information so I can have a conversation with them or go for coffee and just meet them and talk? Because I've never worked with them before. And the same happens for me now. I will get requests from agents to have a coffee with a new designer or someone who's different. So do that research on your own too, but never fear. The theater will have people that they would love to recommend to you to work with. And then do your due diligence and meet those people and find out who they are. And look into their work and the way they work and what they've done before. And finding someone who's like-minded and willing to go on your journey with you is really important. So the last thing you need is to not have free-flowing communication and collaboration with your creative team. Because as I said, we don't do this alone. And the one thing you will find when you start to direct and choreograph, if you haven't already, is that it's very lonely. It's extremely lonely. You're on your own. You're making decisions and you're not hanging out with the cast anymore. You kind of can't, because you, at the end of the day, have to make decisions that will affect them. And you have to maintain a position. And I don't mean hold it over their heads or not in any way, but there is, you do have to make some hard decisions. And you have to make sure that you're able to do those honestly, truly, and from perceptional, from other people's perception, that the decisions you're making are not influenced because I go for coffee every day with them and I went out drinking with them last night. It's really important that, your credibility is maintained. And so sometimes it can be really lonely being in these positions. So your creative team, your stage manager, your MD, all those people are the people you come to rely on. And that's why assistants and associates are also so important, because those are the people that I look to for their honesty and their forthrightness and really being able to say, shut up, you're spinning, everything's fine, it looks good. You do not have to start from the beginning again. Or actually to say, that actually is not resonating, I think, the way you want it to. I know what you want, but that's not what I get when I hear that. You need people who are going to be honest and forthright with you in all aspects. So really, really keep that in mind. Okay, here's my other little rant. Not rant, but it's how I've kind of worked and what I feel is really important. I have tried very hard to always work with people that are smarter and better than me, or at least I perceive them to be so. Challenge is a really good thing. It stretches you as an artist and it makes you look at things differently. Even if you're super confident about what your vision is, it is always good to have other people saying, what about, would you consider, how is this? Man, again, collaboration, what amazing discoveries are happen when that happens. So I don't pretend to be an expert in every area of design. I have experience in them because I've been doing it for a while, but that's why you work with people who are really good. So please, please, please do not be intimidated by how good other people are. In fact, grab those people and suck them dry from their knowledge because they are amazing. They will make your production better and they will make you a better artist because of their expertise. So don't be afraid to work with people who know more than you do. At this point, I like to say that one of my favorite phrases as I got older is, I don't know. It is incredibly freeing. And yes, you do have to know some of the answers to the questions, but it is impossible to know all of the answers to all the questions all of the time. It's just not even in our realm of possibility. So don't. It's okay. It's okay to go, you know what, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. Awesome. Super freeing and opens the door to C, collaboration. I never thought of it that way. Wow, that's really interesting. Let me give it a think and I'll get back to you. Again, fantastic. Don't be afraid not to know things. It's human and it's honest and it's cool. Let someone else help guide you sometimes, right? Super important. So now let's look at the timeline. Like I said, it's different for everybody. If we're a year out and you've signed your contract, it's probably going to be time when you're going to have to start having some discussions with some of the people that you've brought onto your creative team. I will also tell you that when you sign your contract as a creative, all designers have this, but sometimes theaters also have it attached to your director's contract. You get a budget for the show and you have to look at the budget and approve it. And it holds you fiscally responsible for the production, right? It also gives you the opportunity to look at it and make sure that in your mind, in your vision, what you're looking for is all taken care of there. And I'll just use an example. Like if I'm doing a production and I go, well, it's a period piece, we're going to need wigs. Is there a wig budget? Look at it. And if there isn't, then, you talk to the theater or the production manager, who I will talk about later and who is one of your best friends ever in the whole world, along with the technical director and the boss of you, your stage manager. Some theaters require that you sign off on these, some don't, but all of your designers have design budgets. They are well versed and well educated on them, and they can help you enormously when you start talking design, and they know the lay of the land and what you might be asking for might be well out of the budgetary range. Or you can ask for things and they're like, yeah, we could do that. And do you want this? Because we have room for that. So just know that in all of this, in all of our vision, there is a number hanging over our heads, which is called the budget. Okay. So we've gone to those places, and now you're going to start discussing design. The first person you meet with is your set designer, and those often can be in charge of set and costumes, or some set designers do set and lighting as well. Some lighting designers do video content as well, but often not. It's usually very separate because the amount of work that is required to do both those things is enormous, and it's a time they'd never be able to do it all. But you can do set and costumes and you can do set and lighting. That's okay. So you're going to start having a discussion with your set designer, and it's really an exciting, fabulous process. And you don't have to have all the answers right away, because you're going to meet with that individual several times to really refine what the design of this piece is going to be. Initially, it's just a conversation you talk about concept, what you're thinking, and they will ask you questions, and then they will go away and have a think about it. And then usually you have another meeting and they show up with some examples, some, mood boards, so to speak, where they will show you examples of color, texture, architecture, mood, anything, vistas, all those things for you to look over and consider and have a conversation about. And when you whittle that down, they go away again and they actually start designing, do their initial designs for a set. And of course, those designs are predicated completely on the kind of show you're doing. Whether it's musical or non-musical, it doesn't matter. It's how many places are there? How many times do we change where we are in time and place all over? How does the set move? Is it one big set and we create things from found pieces? All of those things are things that we discuss. And then they start drawing and they'll come back to you again with an initial concept and drawings and images for you to look at and suggestions on how we move through things. And we have another conversation about that. And they go away and they refine again. And then they come back and there's more color and there's more specificity. And you get really excited and you think, oh my God, I'm going to make a world. And then they go away until you whittled it down and refined it down to what your and their vision is collectively and collaboratively. In all of that, the set design also encompasses props, set pieces, all of those things, and all of those come from your designer. It's at this point that I just want to interject and say, if you're choreographing a show, when they actually start designing and having design conversations about set, it's really important that obviously you would have had a conversation with the director already and started collaborating with them. But it's really important that you make sure that you can be available and they include you in those discussions, because obviously the world that is being created affects you directly. If you're doing a full-scale musical, you need to know what that environment is going to be like, how that affects your work, and what limitations you will have because of that, and what your asks are. So really important at this point to become part of that conversation so that there are no surprises. So the first day of rehearsal, you don't walk in and go, what? Why is there a mountain in the center of the stage, but I have 30 people who have to dance? We want to avoid all that. So collaborating at that point and trying to, because gosh, it's happened, right? People don't talk. All of a sudden you show up and you have, a 6-foot platform somewhere that is not helpful for you. And you can't stand on and you can't swing on and you can't walk on, but it's just a thing, right? Not helpful to anybody in terms of movement or staging. What are you thinking? Nothing. So that's when you want to be involved, choreographers, right? In terms of how that's going to impact you. There is a deadline process for every designer. There is a deadline for revisited plans and then final design. There is, once final designs go in, basically, then there's a drafting deadline for them where all the drafting for the set and props and everything has to be in. And then there's also a build deadline. So you get to the point where there's a point of no return. Usually when we get to final design, that's when we can't really go back and go, you know what, I thought maybe instead of being on like a flat surface, we build a rake. No. Can I have 5 doors instead of 2? And can they open? No, right? It's all because as each of these designers is coming up with concepts and offerings for you, they also have to hand in all of this to the theater, to the production department to be costed. So even the design, when it gets into drafting and before it's finalized, it's had to go into it's taken into consideration by the production manager, and it'll come back and go, yeah, this is going to cost $10,000 more than what we've got. So we have to find a way about how to build this differently or redesign this. And each of the departments has those deadlines that you also, as the director, have to be mindful of, so that you, or the choreographer, if they're saying, you have something very specific you need, there's a whole movement piece that has ramps in it, right? And you've already got to be thinking about that, because once those things are built, there is no going back, right? And you really don't want to waste dough. So we have to be mindful of all of that, and that goes for each department. So once the set is on its way, That's when we start talking about lighting. And we can't talk about lighting until we've got a really good idea what that set design is going to be, because obviously set placement, what it is, if there's pieces that fly, if there's pieces that hang, all of that affects lighting directly, where they can, how they can do their hang, what their grid positions are. Can they have lighting trees? Are there shins? Are we backlighting? Is there a cyc? Is there not a cyc? Are we using a back wall? Do we need big silhouettes anywhere? Do we have, front lights across the stage? What's happening? They need to come into these discussions. Don't freak out. You can't answer all their questions. There's no way they expect you to have literally blocked the entire show way this far out. But as you work with the set designer, you also are talking about a fluidity of how the show moves, how you're moving from scene to scene, and what those scenes are. So you can speak in broad strokes to a lighting designer about what's the mood, what do I want to see, how do I want to feel, even color. I feel like this needs to be in this vein. They will ask you a whole bunch of questions as well. The lighting designer also will deal with pyro, fog, haze, and ground fog, anything special like that. So they will ask you questions. Are you okay with haze in the air? The answer is almost always yes, because you can see lights. Ground fog, you have to figure out where those positions can be. What are the wind currents like in the theater? Can we have ground fog? Is it going to smoke out of an entire orchestra if it rolls into the pit? If you're doing a musical, is it going to smoke out the first 5 rows of the audience, if no matter what you're using, whether musical or non-musical? All those things you're talking with your lighting designer about. If I'm going to rewind for a minute, if you are considering video content or projections, that is a discussion that comes in right when you start talking to your set designer. You really want to use projections, you really want to use video. What are the surfaces I can project on? How do we do that? And that's when you talk to your video designer as well, and they start coming in and talking about that, because the venue, do we have to use a front projection? Can we use a front projection? How many lumens does that projector have to be? 20K isn't going to cut it. It's got to be a 60K machine. Or are we projecting from the back, and that really affects how far the set has to be downstage in order to rear project? So all of those things have to be taken into consideration too when we're starting to conceptualize and talk about things. So we've had discussions with our set designer and video and projection. We've had discussions with lighting. And please know that all of these designers also talk to each other all the time. So a lot of the things like lighting positions and where the hang's going to be and positions on grid, it's a negotiation between those teams, because then you also have to talk about sound. And that will happen once all this starts happening, and where their speaker positions are going to be. But they will figure out so much stuff that you don't actually have to worry about. But you do have to have conversations with all of these artists so that no one is left out in the cold, and that everything is working in conjunction with the other. And they will start duking it out for airspace, believe me, when things start happening. And lighting plots have to be in, and all of those drafting things happen. The other thing you want to do is talk with a sound designer, and they're going to want to know what you want to hear. If it's a play, is it acoustic only? Are there things that have to be amplified? If there are SFX, where are they coming from? Do you want them to originate on the stage where that sound is supposed to be coming from? Do you want the audience to be enveloped in it? Is it an acoustic musical? Is it a over amplified rock show? All of those things. And those are just basic questions that a sound designer will ask you. What kind of mics do you want? Do you need, is it a rock show where the music, unless you have those mics right in your face, you're never going to pick up dialogue or song? Do we need to look at that? Are they labs? Do people wear wigs? Do we pack them in their wigs? Like, all those questions will be asked of you. You don't necessarily have to come up with all of them, but those are the kind of things that your sound designer will ask you, or the person who's doing your soundscape for you as well, in terms of transition music in a play. If you don't have a composer, underscore in certain moments that is not actually already written or provided for you. So, and they all work together. They are amazing humans. They've all worked together before. They know how it goes. So, while I'm saying all this, I know it can sometimes sound completely overwhelming, like, oh my God. And it is, because ultimately this is what it takes to do a show. And these are all the components that go into it. But you just work through it. And that's why I say work with people who are really good and know what they're doing. They're there to help you, and they will make your life so much easier because they will anticipate your needs before you realize that you need them. Someone will say to you, I thought you might want this, so I've already put it on the list. And you're like, oh my God, thank you. Right? I figure, I know you're going to need this, so it's already there, and I've put it in the budget. If we don't need it, that's extra money for us to be put somewhere else, but it's there. And you're like, oh. In all of this too, if you're doing a musical, you will have already been speaking with your MD, and maybe one of your needs to know how this show is going to go is that you need a recording of the score. And we all know that in musicals, what the soundtrack of the musical is, what that recording is, does not necessarily contain all the music that's in the show. So you might want to find an MD or someone else who will play through that music for you, so you have a really good idea when you're talking to people like lighting or sound, what you might be looking for, or what you might need choreographers, especially if you're not doing double duty. You need to be familiar with what you are dealing with musically, if there's any special things you need to ask for. It's also really important, as we talk to the costume designer, and that happens, the same process happens with your costume designer. You talk about it conceptually, they go away, they come back with mood boards and colors and thoughts. We refine, they give you samples, they'll show you samples of material. They also have a deadline, because often, if depending on where you're working, they are allowed to go and shop for materials to construct. If you're not just pulling from wardrobe and you are building, they will go to New York and they will go to Montreal, which are the only places now where you can actually find fabric, because everybody stopped doing it in Toronto. And they have to go and make purchases and buy all that. So they will start giving you the same ideas. The whole process is exactly the same with your costume designer. Your MD, talking through music, really important to understand how you are going to work together, what language you are going to use, where your lanes run parallel, where they merge, where they cross, and how you will disseminate the information you need to without stepping on each other's toes or contradicting each other. Again, the C's: collaboration, communication. You want to be able to be as open and generous as possible so that everyone feels heard. Everybody has a voice in the process, even though ultimately the stewardship belongs to the director. Because someone has to say yes or no, or we don't get anything done in a timely fashion. Okay, I talked about two other people, a production manager and a technical director. The difference between them is that PM's job is to ensure that all departments get what they need. They're completing designs, they're staying on budget, and they are looking after things before they get on stage. A technical director, basically their job is to execute the designs and make sure everything is made safely and under strict quality control. They run the stage when we are in tech. They deal with load in, they deal with light focus, they oversee all of this. And on a daily basis are there to make sure that everything in tech, in the builds, on stage, are running as they should. The production manager oversees everything, basically for the whole production of the show. But prior to getting on stage, that's who's responsible for making sure things stay on track, timelines, and budget before we get to the stage. The production manager is also the individual who will run your dreaded and loved production meetings. And let me just talk about those for a second. They can be intimidating, but there's no reason that they should be. Your PM and your TD are really important people. Love them. They are worth their weight in gold, and they are hard to find. Good ones are hard to find. I'm sorry if anyone is listening to this outside of this group afterwards, and and you're being insulted by that, but it's true. When you've worked on enough productions, those people and their skill set is of paramount importance. And if you don't have someone who knows what they're doing, they will make or break your production. Have no doubt they will make or break, because you will not meet deadlines. You will not get things done. And it's not pleasant when that happens. It doesn't happen very often, but they're amazing. So production meetings, you've had all your discussions, things have been put into place, things are being built, they're being constructed, we're all happy with everything. And probably about 3 months before you start rehearsals, you start having your first full production meetings, which is when we all gather as we are today, either Zoom or in person, depending where you are. Often it's Zoom. As much as we have a love-hate relationship with it, it's really important because, as I said, we have to remember that during this entire period, we're doing other things. We have a life. We are doing another project, and so is everybody else, and so is the theater. So meeting by Zoom is amazing because people are all in different places, right? They can all be everywhere depending on where you're going to work. Your production manager will run those meetings. They will lead those meetings. And what happens is, for anyone who hasn't been in a production meeting before, we all join like this, and each department has the opportunity to talk about where they are in the process at the moment, what their concerns are, any problems that have arisen, where we are with budget, and each department talks about it: set, props, costumes, lighting, sound. The artistic director is often there, or one of the representatives, to see how things are going. Obviously, choreographers and directors are there. We can talk about what's happening artistically. The MD can talk about music. If it's a musical, we always want to talk about what we need, where we are with getting the musicians, where are we with the band, what are the orchestrations going to be, and then how we set it up. Like, all of those departments have a chance to talk. And there's negotiations that go on where they say, well, we're having trouble getting 5 movers, and the Vipers make a lot of noise, and so we don't want those lights, so it's going to cost us 10 grand to get more. And normally I go, yeah, we'll get them, because I don't want to hear the noise in an intimate scene when 2 people are singing to each other. Like, I don't want to hear like, what is wrong with you? So that's what happens in the production meeting, and we all agree on a course of action and where to go from there. And we, like anything, we decide when we're going to meet again, because usually at that point you're having at least 1 a month to 2 production meetings a month, to up to when we go into rehearsal, because we're really, really following progress, deadlines, and where any problems are and the things we have to do to resolve them. At this point, also, the boss of you and the best friend you will ever have in your life, the stage manager, arrives on the scene, and they start to join. As most of you know, a good stage manager, again, makes or breaks you. And as a director or choreographer, as an assistant or associate, they are your lifeline. They are the person who will be your shoulder. They will let you rant and rave at them so you don't scream at somebody else when you're super frustrated, or just when you're frustrated with yourself. They will talk you down off ledges. They will tell you when things don't make sense. They will tell you when they love it. They will keep you on track with all your scheduling. And they will make your life easy. Love them, hold them deep to you, rock them in your arms when you have to, and always tell them how much you appreciate them, because the workload that they carry is incredible, and the responsibility they have is incredible, and their team, not just them. But this is when you'll get to start seeing them. They are going to be incredibly instrumental in helping you and the production manager develop a production schedule, which is really, really important. And I really encourage all of us as creatives to know what those production schedules are, how many hours you're actually allowed to tech, when your 9 out of 12s and your 9 out of 10s are, depending on whether you're in a musical or a non-musical, how many of those days you're allowed. Once you're outside of those days and you go into previews, make sure you get all the 5 hours you're allowed every day for work. Schedule them. You may not need them, but put them on schedules, because if you don't, you cannot have them. Use all of your time, ask for all of it, and then you're not in trouble ever. If you don't need 5 hours, if you only need 4, if you're not, it's all of those things that are super important. And your stage manager will look through a production schedule with you, and you can ask questions, but they can tell you where you can gain hours, when you can't gain hours, what all that is, and will really, really make a huge difference in the whole tech process. So use those stage managers. Generally speaking, they don't actually go on contract, or what I say live, until the week before. But if you have paperwork that you need to send them, like the scene breakdowns that you have to make and decide who's in every scene and who's doing what, where, that all comes from you. How you want to, they will ask how you want to schedule the first day of rehearsals, and thereafter every day when you get into rehearsals. But prior to that, there are scene breakdowns, cast breakdowns that you as the director or the choreographer are responsible for, and you can send them all that paperwork, and then they make beautiful Excel spreadsheets out of it that every department can use and can add to, take away from, edit. And I usually leave it to them to do all that, because everybody has a system and every theater has a system, and then they are put into that system and everybody has all the information. But your stage manager is like amazeballs. The thing that we didn't address, which happened before, was, oh my God, there's auditions you have to do. Like, you have to find a cast, directors and choreographers. Right. So the theater will have come to you at some point and suggested a time and place for auditions. And based on your schedules, that's when they happen. They will also suggest and send you initially a character breakdown and a cast breakdown, which you can start with and add to and approve. And that will be sent out in those packages when they say we're having auditions and this is who's going to be there. In collaboration with your choreographer and musical director, they will also ask you for material that you might want to see, that you might want to include in a package versus just, as performers, we all go in and we sing our own song. And then often if it's for something specific, which is very helpful, we sing material from the show if it's a musical, or we certainly do a scene from the piece, musical or non-musical. They will ask you for each character for that. And it's up to you to provide them with the material that you would like those candidates to show you. So in that whole audition process, you will be required to provide that material that you would like to see for them. Use your MD, look at what you want to hear, what's the hardest thing those people have to see, check their ranges, all those things. What do you need to see from every single person in terms of character? Choreographers, are you going to use music from the show? Or are you going to use music that's similar to? What is the skill set you need? Oh, may I also ask that choreographers, when you're starting to develop your vocabulary, choreography, and concept for musical numbers with the director, if you have specific asks, we're doing it on roller skates. I need shoes that are going to be, please relate all those to costumes, relate them to the director, and please never be afraid to be part of the costume fittings and design. Thank you. Because it's super important. As you know what we all put our costumes on and our shoes on and go, this ain't going to happen. That your costume designers know what people physically have to do, right? So be involved in all that. But when we're talking about auditions, know what you'd like to see. Most of the theaters don't have the budget to have 5 days like Stratford does. So, be mindful of what you need to see and test their skills that way. And so, then we'll all gather together, maybe for the first time in a room, to see people. And as you know, and what you'll discover on this side is you want every single person to be the right one, because then you can heave a sigh of relief and know that you've got a cast. and you don't have to worry about anything anymore. So we have to go through that whole audition process. Once the audition notices have gone out, the submissions will come in and they will be sent to you, the creative team, musical director, choreographer, and director, and you will individually go through all the submissions and say yay or nay, and then those people will be invited to come to a call. And each of you, normally, if there's the 3 creatives in a musical, if it's just you as a director in a play, you each have a column where you say yay or nay or not, and normally you also have a discussion between the 3 of you about who you might like. And it's up to you also at that point to go, how come this person wasn't submitted? I really want to see, can I check with an agent? And you talk to the theater about that. I have someone in mind, they should be here. Why aren't they being submitted? Are they busy? All those kind of things. So that would have happened, and you would have had a cast, which is amazeballs because we're so excited. And then we're going through our production meetings, and that's all amazing. And of course, during all this time, you're doing all your own pre-production work, all the work that you have to do on the script, on the characters, on your concept, on your vision, potential blocking, choreographic vocabulary, using your assistant or not to do research, all the while probably doing another project or 2. But that's why we get paid the big bucks to do 5,000 hours of work. And when you look at all the hours you put in, maybe you're making $1.25 an hour. But we're going to change that, right, folks? We're going to change that. And so that's what it is. And sometimes before the first day of rehearsal, you'll want to have a talk through with your closest and dearest in the room peeps to see how we're going to run the room and decide what you're doing. Meet and greet. How long's lunch? 5-day week, 6-day week. What's the day off? 1.5 hour lunch, 1 hour lunch. Can you think about how you're going to fit rehearsals around costume fittings? Those are all the things that you have to start considering as you move into rehearsals and while you go into them. For me, on Sunday night, I poop my pants and think about, I'll never be able to do this. I don't know why they hired me for this gig. I am a pretender. I'm not sure if I can answer all the questions. I'm going to suck. What if I fail? And then you walk into the room and go, thank God you're all here. Let's make a show together. And that's where you start your rehearsal, because we all feel like we don't know what the hell we're doing at some point in the process. And it never changes. I've been doing this for a really, really long time. And it like 40 years, and it never changes. And it's a good thing. We should always have nerves. We should always be scared. We should always challenge ourselves. We should always wonder what's next, if it's good enough, and ask the questions, or we don't have a process and we're not growing. I love you all. You're amazing. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
And scene. And scene.
Thank you and good night.
Hello, Cleveland. Goodbye.
A couple of takeaways from the incredible Tracey Flye just then. Communication and collaboration. Those 2 words are essential as an assistant, an associate, and a director and a choreographer. And make sure you surround yourself with a great team. Challenge is a good thing. Getting the job as a director choreographer. If there's a piece that resonates with you, take it upon yourself. Reach out to those ADs or those producers. Ask those questions. Listen and learn about their ideas and meet them with your thoughts as well. You never know where it will lead. Don't be afraid to work with people who know more than you. Your sound designer, your set designer, they will anticipate your needs before you know what you need. It's okay for you not to have all the answers. I don't know is an okay phrase to have as a director, as a creator. Do know what your production schedule is. Know exactly how many hours you're allowed to use and use all of your time. Imposter syndrome happens to us all, including the great Tracey Flye. But remember, communication and collaboration is key. The legendary Tracey Flye, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo-hoo!
Come on now, what a legend. That's our gal Tracey Flye. She's a true queen and pioneer in the Canadian theatre industry. And of course, this is the second episode in the 8-series collaboration with the Canadian Guild of Stage Directors and Choreographers. You can check them out at cgdcweb.com or give them a follow on Insta at officialcgdc. And you know where to find us, legends. We are at Tits and Teeth Podcast on Insta, and our website is titsandteethpodcast.com. Whatever you are facing today, mate, make sure you keep those tits up and those teeth out and have a bloody great day.